Hi folks, my name is Mr. Kuchak and I am your art teacher. Before we begin, let me go over our class rules. We have 3 rules at Elk Lake. Be ready, be responsible, be respectful. We are ready in the art room when we come in, sit in our assigned seats, and get quiet so that we can learn about art. We are responsible in the art room when we follow directions and take care of our supplies, and we clean up any of our messes. We are respectful when we use kind words like please and thank you, and when we value other students' artwork. Supplies you will need for today's lesson. Go ahead and pause the video if you need to. Hi folks, this is part 2 of drawing our self-portraits. So part 1 was drawing the eyes. If you didn't get a chance to do the eyes, please go back and do that video first. Today we're going to be drawing the nose. And when we draw the nose, there's a couple things to worry about. With our eyes now, last time we just took one eye and we drew it. This time we're going to draw out both eyes. We're also going to draw the nose kind of in the right position with it so that we get used to drawing eye, and our nose. When we draw the nose, we don't want to have our nose way back so that we're looking up into our nose. The way that I tell students to draw a lot is to kind of push your chin down so that you're looking at this part of your nose. Don't worry about the bridge of the nose, this part here. What we're after is just a nice line drawing so that when we are coloring this in, we can see that. We will add all this other stuff in. So don't worry about drawing these 2 lines down. Sometimes if we draw those 2 lines down, it looks almost like a skate ramp. Or if we do like a big sharp L, it looks almost like a scooter nose. So we want to avoid those. Now I'm going to turn the camera so that you can see my paper and we'll get started. Move the camera so that you can see my paper. I will continue talking and you can just follow along. All right, folks, we are ready to start drawing out our eyes and our nose. So the first thing we have to do is our eye boxes. So if you remember last time, we talked about these eye boxes being like the letter I, and we drew out a shape that was like this, but we just turned it. We need to do that again. So let me show you how that's done so that we can set up our paper. So the first thing we want to do is, let me see if I can get you in so you can see it better. There we go. So the first thing we want to do is start off with the letter I, just like we did last time. Now the trick here is that I, whatever size that is, that's the same size that the other eye needs to be, and that I is going to be the space in between the other eye. So we take that eye, and if I look, I can even use something to measure, and it almost matches my Sharpie cap. So I'm going to use that Sharpie cap as almost a mini ruler. You could use things like a piece of paper, and you could just say, okay, it's that big, and you can use that to measure too. There's a lot of different ways to do it. So, you know, even if you want to use a pencil and say, okay, it's that big, and that's where it needs to go, then you can too. So I'm going to draw my next eye box here, and I know how big it needs to be because it's as big as that Sharpie, and I can put that in. Now when we draw the nose is as wide as the space in between the eyes. So when we come down, we're going to do another eye right here, and then we're going to do our line straight across, and that's 1. We want to do a few more of these. So I'm going to draw out a couple more of these. I'm just going to put a little box around this so that I know, okay, that's number 1. Then I'm going to do my eye, and I'm trying to get this one to fit in, so it's going to be a little bit smaller. And that will fit right about there. Eye, a little bit more. And then I know the spacing there. So that'd be number 2. I'll do another one. Eye. Let's see. I can do that spacing. Eye. box 3. And then I'll do another bigger one over here. Sometimes it's easier to see if we draw it up larger. And I'm just using this as my guide. So that's number 4. So you can do 4, and you can even do one on your own on the back, just to try it out even larger if you want. This way we have all of our pieces. So when I start drawing, I'm going to be drawing up here, and that way you should be able to see everything. Actually, I'm going to turn it a little bit, and there we go. So the first thing I want to do is I want to do my eyes the right way. Let's see, let me make sure that's in there for you. So I'm going to start with this one here, and I'm going to start with my pencil. Now, I'm using Sharpie because otherwise you won't be able to see my lines because of the lighting here. So I'm going to start, and I'm going to come up and down. And you should look at that and say, Mr. K, you did something wrong. So the first thing I did wrong was I did not do my guidelines. If you don't have your guidelines, that's when sometimes the eyes go a little crazy. So we want to get those guidelines in. So I'm just going to take my marker, and remember, do your guidelines. Don't forget them. So once we have that done, we're going to do the bottom of the eyelid all the way around, and then we have to split the eye in half. What I like to do is I like to put the pencil or marker on the bottom eyelid. I come up, around, and down. That way it's touching. Then I use my finger spacing, and I do my parenthesis and my parenthesis. Remember, it's not a C. You don't want a super sharp C. If you are seeing something like that, it's a little bit too sharp. It needs to be a gentle curve. So there's a big difference between that, or even that fish hook shape. So avoid that C. It's got to touch the eyelid when you're doing this. Then we do our circle and our circle. And that part is going to be black in the eye, so if you want to color that in, you could. So that's one eye done. Let's go over to our next eye box. We're going to go over and up and down. Then we're going to go down, over, and up. Put your pencil on the eyelid. Draw that eyelid in place. Remember, we want them to be able to blink. Then use your finger spacing. Parenthesis, parenthesis. Big circle that you can color in. Now this light spot here, because it's on this side, it's got to be on that side too. If you put it here, sometimes it makes the eyes look a little cross-eyed. So we want to add our circle in. Now we come to the nose. The nose can be really tricky. So let me show you some ways that people kind of do it wrong. One of the ways that people will do it wrong is they will start off with both lines kind of coming down, and then they start doing parts of the nose, and it almost looks like a volcano is kind of erupting inside there. Or they'll do straight lines down, and then they'll do this other stuff going on underneath, and it makes it look almost like a webbed foot. Or they'll do most of the nose right, but they'll have the middle part come down really, really far, and it looks like it's kind of dripping. Well, it looks like it's dripping right down the face. So we want to avoid that, we want to avoid that, we want to avoid that. So we really want to watch out for those. The duck foot is one that I see people do a lot because they do diagonal lines instead of parentheses. That's why we've been practicing it. So if you do a straight line and then you do like these curves up and then down, you're going to have like a webbed foot on your face. And we want to really avoid that. The nose is all parentheses. So we're looking for that nice parenthesis shape. Parenthesis, parenthesis, and then you're going to do a frown, and then you're going to smile because you're done. And that's an easy way to do a nose. So let's get back to this. Your nose is as wide as your eyes are. So over here, we don't want to go below this line. Like this line is where we want to stop. We don't want our nose going below there. So even if you're a little bit above that line, that's good. But don't go down here. We don't want it dripping down the face. So we want to avoid cold and flu season. So we're going to do our parenthesis, parenthesis, just like we did here. It's the same exact shape. It's the same way. So what you do here, you do there. Remember, they're standing nice and tall. They're not leaning over. They're not diagonals. It's got to be a parenthesis. And then you frown, frown. You don't have to frown all the way to the middle. It's not going to work because you have the tip of the nose there. And then you smile, and you're done. And your nose is finished. Let's go to our next one. So, first things first, let's do our dashed lines. Do them in the middle. Do your dashed lines. Do your dashed lines. Do the ones in the middle. Now that we have that done, we can start doing our eyes. So we're going to go up and down. We're going to go down and up. And then we want our person to be able to blink. So we're going to put our pencil on the eyelid. We're going to come up and down. Next, we have that parenthesis. Remember, it's a parenthesis. It's not a C. We don't want that C shape. It's too small. So put your finger here and do your parenthesis and your parenthesis. And remember, the eyeball is going to fill up most of that eye. Then we do our circle and our circle. And that way we have our first eye done. Now we can move over to the next one. Curve up and down, down and up. And then we do our eyelid. Now we need our parentheses. Remember, it's a parenthesis. So parenthesis, parenthesis, circle, circle. By the time we're done with all of the eyes, nose, and mouth, you'll have drawn out 20 eyes. So the eyes are so important. That's why we keep practicing, and we want to keep practicing doing it the right way. Now comes the nose. Remember, it's got to stand up nice and tall. So we are going to do our parenthesis, parenthesis. It's exactly from the eyes. You just take that same shape and you put it there. Then we frown, frown. Once you have your frown, frown, you end with a small smile. Remember, don't go below that line. Don't have it be a drippy nose. Okay, next set of eyes. Remember, do your dashed lines. Do your dashed lines. Also, don't forget the ones in the middle. They're going to help you keep the eyes very symmetrical and the same. So what we're doing now is the eyelid. So we're going to go up and down, down and back. Put your pencil on the eyelid. Go up and down. Parenthesis, parenthesis, circle, circle. Most of that is your eye. So when you're looking at that, if you're trying to figure out what part would get colored in, this part here is all the colored part of your eye. You have to think of the eyelid as almost like a garage door. It closes really quick to protect your eye. So this would be the color part. That'd be the little part of white that you would see then with the eye. So let's go to our next one. We're going to go up and down, down and up. We're going to do our eyelid, parenthesis, parenthesis, circle, and then make sure circle is on the same side. Circle, circle. And just to make it look the same, I'm going to take some color and I'm going to throw it in there. Next, we need our nose. So we are going to do our parenthesis, parenthesis, frown, frown, and then we're going to smile. So the way that you change the nose is really the shape of the frown and the shape of the smile. So these parts on the side will pretty much stay the same. They might be bigger, they might be smaller. And then these parts here will change as you're drawing, as you're looking at yourself. So the next part that we need is this one. So we are going to do our dash lines. We're going to do our dash lines. Once we have those in, we're going to start doing our eyes. So we're going to take and we are going to go up and down, down and up, and do your eyelid. Remember, if you need to use your spacing, use your hand as a spacing. Space that out so that it's on either side. And then we're going to do circle, circle. And clear that part in. That's the reflection. That's the water droplet in the eyes, or the light reflected in the amount of water that's in your eyes. The next part over here, eyelid and back, upper eyelid, parenthesis, parenthesis, circle, circle. Now we got our nose. Remember, our nose is as wide as the eyes are. So where this part ends, that's how wide your nose is. So our next part is going to be parenthesis, parenthesis, frown, frown, and then smile. So each one I'm just trying to do the parentheses a little different to try to show you that there's many different ways to do this. Now, I normally in class, our worksheet that we do is something like this. So there are 5 of them. So to make sure that you have as much practice as our people who are in person, what I would like us to be able to do is, if you can grab another piece of paper or even go on to the back. So I'm going to go on to this one, and we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do 5 total. So I'm going to do my eye. And then I need some way to space that, something that's close. Oh, that's really close. So I'm going to space that out. And then I'll use that as my spacer. And then I know exactly where my nose is going to be. It's going to go right in here. And it's going to come across. So eye, and then our nose will be there. We do our dashed lines. You're going to get really good at doing those. They're very helpful for keeping the eye kind of in that drawing field. Once we have that done, now we're going to go up and down, back and forth. Do your eyelid, parenthesis, parenthesis, circle, circle. Up and down, back and forth, eyelid, parenthesis, parenthesis, circle, circle. And then we have our nose. Remember, the nose is all parentheses. So parenthesis, parenthesis, frown, frown, smile. If there's a couple things you can remember, please don't have it go below that line. When we do the next part of the face, when we start going over the mouth, the first thing that we're going to start with is the smile. So this little smile here, it's repeated down here because we need to know where the mouth is going to be. And your mouth is actually, if we took like a dashed line, if we took that dashed line all the way down, that's how wide your mouth is. So then when we would do the mouth, we would come over and over. We would do the sides. We would do the middle. And then we would do the bottom lip. Now the bottom lip doesn't come in right here. It comes in over here so that it doesn't kind of look like clown makeup in there. And then that way we can have the mouth kind of all together. But this way you can kind of see how it's getting put together. So we will go ahead and we'll keep working on that. So next video we will do the mouth, we will do the ears, we will do some hair and where the neck comes in play, and then that way you know where everything needs to be. Excellent. Have a great night, and I will see you next time. Bye.